Hello, guys. You're welcome to the Minority Report Nigeria. I am Chidozie, and this is
Walter.
so. On the Minority Report, we will be taking on unpopular topics. We'll be taking on, the sort of stuff that we tend not to want to talk about in Nigeria.
Oh, we do, but we want to explain them away with convenient excuses like religion and culture.
It's
And
not our culture.
we say it is something that's too tasking. It's too out there. You say, oh well, it's our culture doesn't permit it, or my religion doesn't permit it,
Which is
and
a lazy thing to do,
very very lazy.
and also oppressive.
It becomes a convenient way of not talking about it,
Yeah.
or of delivering a verdict on the matter without really exploring it,
Exploring it.
or without even trying to
Trying to
understand it,
understand.
because the root of our problem in this country is we are too lazy to try to understand things that doesn't fit into what we've been conditioned to believe. So we are hoping to use this forum to talk about these things. And first of all, we are not even hampered by religion.
Definitely not.
We are not a religious people, a traditional people. So um, we're going to be a little radical. No, him more than I am.
Well, that's left to be seen. So basically, yes, on the Minority Reports, we will be exploring, the alternative story, alternate truths and facts, value systems based on lived experiences that do not necessarily tally with the normative culture, and on that specifically with regard to gender and sexual minorities. Yes, I think it's also important to state that. So
Yeah, very.
we are not necessarily representing the underdog. We are just going to be talking about things that do not necessarily have to do with those who typically dominate the conversation of what it means to be human and all of that. So it's going to be a fun one. Let's see.
Yeah, and we're just going to go right into it with uh, what's been the conversation going around concerning rape.
Yeah.
Um, uh, well, we'd like to talk about what rape is, and I'd like to hear what you have to say about that.
Well,
What rape typically
specifically,
is? Yes.
yes, rape is penetrative sex without consent. Typically, that's what it means. So, if and it's the framing of the language of rape, particularly in within Nigerian laws, is such that you know it's framed around violence that can be perpetrated only by a man. So yes, that of course we know that there are permutations, and anybody can be a perpetrator of rape.
Okay, so um, if you are on the social media, you would already know that there's been a couple of screen grabs going around about a guy who was talking about a girl who he met. They had chemistry. They were clearly interested in each other. I mean, this is going by the guy's narrative. If that is what actually happened, they had chemistry. They had a good time, and clearly the girl was into him as he was into her. There was a They got to his house. It was nighttime. There was a taking a bath, a sharing of t-shirts, a snuggling in bed, and he went right into, they started doing their things, their
Having
business.
sex.
so, um, so then at a point she comes, and
By his account.
yes, by his account, she comes, but he's still, rushing towards his own climax. But she was done. Oh, like, dude, get off me! I'm done. But he doesn't. According to him, he's almost there, and he's and she has come, so he needs to get to his own destination too, and so he holds her down until he comes, and so she's upset. She wants to go home and all that, and the end. Eventually, she gets out of his space and starts to tell people that he raped her, and he was upset about that. And actually, frankly, when I saw the screen grabs, I was a little conflicted because I, there was an obvious it seemed like the girl was out to use him, and that's kind of um, the her lacking in that generation of empathy by her very very calculated moves made me I I I. I wasn't in a hurry to empathize with her. I wasn't in a hurry to say, "Oh yes, that's true." Clearly,
I
but
was.
it wasn't. It didn't seem very clear to me, and we talked about it. So we are going to talk about it,
Yes.
and I am a little. I'm still sitting on the fence here, in spite of everything. There have been opinions band going around. It's people are empathizing. There's a majority of people empathizing more with the guy
And
because
I don't
of
get
what
it.
it seemed like the girl was being calculating, using
So,
him. You know, but
now,
but
here's the thing. I personally think, for specifically to this case, coming is not a fundamental human right. No, 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 it's not a God-given divine whatever that you absolutely have to come. And here's the thing: by the very nature of consent, and it was so interesting because I see a lot of things online, some by lawyers who were saying she gave her consent so she couldn't revoke it. Hello, what the fuck is that? I'm sorry, because here's the thing: if it were such, I'm speaking at it, with the language of the contractual, legal contractual language. If it were such that once there has been an offer, an acceptance, there can be no revocation on either part. We don't have such things as frustration of contracts. I think the first question to answer as to whether this is rape. Yes, from the moment she said, "Okay, get off me, I'm done," and he pins her down and continues because, hallelujah, he had to climax. That was rape. And I think more than everything else, and I think it's also important in order to get a fuller picture of this, to flip the coin. Let's assume he had been the one to come first and she hadn't come. What happens? This is sex, regular sex for a lot of women. The guy comes and that's the end of it. And nobody brings the house down. So I think it's important to interrogate that entitlement. I think this goes more beyond the mechanics of penetrative sex to, you know, the wider culture, the normalized ideas we have of and expectations we have as to what sex should be. Sex is something that men give out, women give and men take. So the man's like until the man comes, it's not sex. It's not complete. And that is very, very problematic. That feeds into the wider rape culture. Because we do have a rape problem. We have a lot of behaviors which are really, really problematic, but normalized. And there seems to be this idea, because what constitutes rape is very specific, what constitutes sexual assault is very specific. And I am of the opinion that we need a wider range of language in order to, because all of these things are nuanced, in order to capture the nuances. For example, what happened recently with the male feminist Ansari Aziz. A lot of people were saying blah blah blah, concentrated on what the girl did and what she didn't do. And yes, that wasn't rape. What happened with Sari and the Grace, which is a pseudonym, of course. What happened between them, what Ansari did was not rape. It wasn't, it couldn't have constituted specifically sexual assault or sexual harassment, but something untoward happens there. And just because we don't have a specific language for it does not mean we should normalize it. That's the problem I
yeah,
have.
but in that case, in that particular case, the problem I have with it, it's like you said, it's the wording, it's the language.
Yes.
We're in. a time where it's very important to have the correct identification for what it says you, for your grievance, for what it is you want to tell people you are going through, so it
Yes.
doesn't get mixed up, so that it helps with the understanding. um, and my grief with that woman's claim has always come from the part where you try to label whatever it is that went down, the misunderstanding, with something that is far much worse and not even applicable to your situation. Because saying he
Yeah.
sexually harassed her, at what point did that happen? Yes, it was in talking to you that I realized that, okay, from the follow up of the things that happened, from the
Yeah.
follow up of her narration of the things that happened, that there was a little bit of
From the point where she said,
entitlement.
yes, from the point where she said, I don't want to feel forced, so I don't hate you. Yes, from that point it began,
So
it got
it
icky.
would appear that Ansari, pushed a little beyond, expectation, which I kind of understand, though.
You do?
Yeah, well,
Because,
yes.
communism is fundamental human right, of course. Yeah.
Which is the thing. The- Factually,
Yeah.
this Ansari guy is no Brad Pitt. Um, he's not a Hollywood, you know, leading man with all the movie star good looks and all that. I'm talking about idealistically now, and I don't know his life, but
Yeah.
I
No,
I
he ends in the six figures. Let's start with that. So
let's forget the money part. I don't know if it's habitual for women to come on to him. Maybe it doesn't. Honestly, it doesn't even look like someone a lot of women come on to. But now here's is this woman coming on to him. It's it creates room for the thinking that okay, she wants something and I'm only too willing, too happy to give it to her.
okay.
And then bam, we're in the room and suddenly doesn't want it. I'm not justifying whatever untoward thing he may have done, but that situation sort of, it's harder for the guy to tune out from the expectation of sex.
And that's a lie. I don't think so. Because here's the thing. Here, all it's been harder for a guy to tune out from the expectation of sex. Still comes from that place of entitlement. And here's the thing. It's also interesting that
Yeah,
I
but
find.
we see we can't have conversations like this without taking into consideration those things. The issue of entitlement. It's
That's it. We are taking it, but you're talking about it without taking them into consideration. You know, under the light of that entitlement being problematic, that entitlement being at the heart of sexual harassment and assault and rape. It's
yeah.
still that same entitlement, different manifestations, but at the very heart of it, that is the rubric. And also, it's also interesting to me, like when you have these cases, like you just empathize with Ansari, and that is usually the ramp. Like when this thing when the Ansari whatever was blowing up, and I took a very unpopular opinion and I got called all sorts of things on it for it online. um on that day, like I was going through Google, and you had to go like 5 pages deep before you found even one article that tried to play a back. Everybody was she shouldn't have gone there, she should have blah and blah, and that insistence on
What she should
what
or
she
shouldn't.
should have done, I found really problematic, because she was being put under the scope while Ansari was being humanized. That was, I found those dynamics really, really troubling. She should have done this, and nobody was okay. What should he have done? Let's leave what she did and what she didn't do for a second. Look through the sequence of events. Ansari did this, he did that, and here's the thing: like from the point while I was reading it, after I saw the very sensational title and I was reading it, and
I think
I was thinking bullshit, 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 and then I got to the point where she said, "I don't want to do this because I don't want to feel forced. Otherwise, I will hate you." And it's interesting to me that some people are still hammering on the particularity of the language, that she should have said specifically "n" or "no." What
yeah,
nonsense is that?
I think
And I'm sorry, I don't want to use my train of
yeah.
thoughts. And besides that, his attitude then, I think it's also important to keep in mind, because all of these things I say, I think they are nuanced, and it's also important to hold the context a lot constantly as you're thinking about it. It's important to hold in mind who Ansari is. This is a feminist. This is somebody who knows this, and he, you know, you know, he presented as somebody who got it. At the point she told him, "I don't want to feel forced," and then he goes, "Okay, it's important to enjoy this as much as I do. So if you're not feeling it, it's fine. Let us put our clothes on, and then watch television." That for me was very grooming behavior. It felt, I, I found that really, really problematic. Like, that was, it came up to me as really, really predatory. The part where he goes, okay, it's important that you also enjoy this. Since you're not enjoying it, let's put our clothes on and watch TV. And then they go to watch TV and keeps at it. So it's, I see you, I recognize you are uncomfortable, but I just don't care. And coming from somebody who is Ansari, he gets this stuff. So let's not, everybody will tell me I was infantilizing the woman and stuff. Oh, I'm infantilizing the woman. And what are you doing with Ansari? He is a baby. He cannot think. He's a mindless creature who cannot pick up on cues. I had a problem with the non-verbal cues thing, but from this point where she was specific and said, "I do not want to hate you," there is no excuse for his behavior afterwards.
I think the problem we have when it comes to male female intimacies and sexual contacts is it's an issue if the woman takes the male prerogative.
She's not the perfect victim. Femininity and victim would have to tally.
If she doesn't fall into that category where the victimhood is clear, is defined, it's helpless, it's a damsel in distress packaging, then we have a hard time recognizing her pain.
Yeah,
I think that's and that's especially what's wrong with this rape.
Both of them, even the Ansari and this recent one, it was
because
the same thing.
She didn't play the role of a perfect victim, and so it took a while. It took several discussions for me to come to realize that the fact that she was callous, the fact that she was clearly using him, the fact that she said, "You know what, we are done,"
and not
she got
mitigating.
spiteful, somewhat, doesn't take away from the fact that she was raped, and that's a problem I've come to realize with our understanding of rape. Usually, when we want to label rape, we need to have our emotions and the facts of the case tally. We need to. It needs to be clear that this person was raped, and it also aligns with our emotions of the situation.
The girl has to be a victim, the guy has to be a monster.
Yeah, So, but in this case, she wasn't very she wasn't somebody who you want to empathize with. So that's the emotions going in one direction, and the facts of the case going in the other direction. So it makes it an issue. Yeah, I don't want to give her the plus of awarding her as a rape victim. No, I can't do that because she did this to him. Now, I mean, she was using him, and that isn't when you want to recognize an evil or a problem, a societal issue for what it is. You don't color it with your opinion or with your emotions for it. You try to step away from your emotions, look at it objectively, and then it becomes clear to you that this is what this was. They were, like someone said, they were both idiots. She for going into it with a clear intent to use him and get to her, and get to her orgasm before him.
But I feel like she just regretted. She came and she was like, "Oh my god, this dude on top of me, ew, get off. And it's okay to feel regretful. And even from the tone of everything the guy said, he was surprised that she could even consider him. Yeah. So and generally this whole
that thing, the topic about sex and all that regret and all that is something I think we'll talk about at another episode.
But even if
I have my reservation. I have but this is just me. I have a I have a hard time, you know, picturing someone going all the way with you when they really aren't into you. Well,
I
that's
don't have a hard time. I do that all the time. So so here's the thing, like with even with this idea of like this whole coloring whatever with your emotional stuff, it's fine to color stuff with your emotion, but you also need to be present enough to realize that the lenses through which you're looking are colored by the system you're in,
yeah.
and also interrogate that system. The system is the problem. We have a normalized rape culture. We have a culture that normalizes male sexual entitlement, and that's wrong. We need to have conversations about that, and you know, and also, this idea of the perfect victim, I find it incredibly problematic because it also leaves out a lot of people. It's interesting, for example, with the Harvey Weinstein stuff, that it had to take some white women, to get the world to pay attention to, the endemic, pandemic sexual abuse going on in Hollywood, which also reflects what's happening everywhere else in the world. It's also interesting to me that you had to take white women, the perfect victims, and nobody is taking into account um, other people like the women of color who are also victims of this in perhaps different ways, because um, clearly, who has been chosen for a long time to be in the movies we see, all the fabulous actresses we have been seeing in our movies are chosen based on some person, some man, finding them sexually attractive, and so that accounts in some way for the death of black actresses on those same stages. They don't get jobs because some white man does not find them sexually attractive, and nobody's having that conversation. This tendency to all that perfect victim leaves a lot of the idea of perfect victim leaves a lot of people out. And it's also interesting that Me Too, which had been around for some time, which was founded by a black woman, did not get traction until a white actress tweeted about it, and it was suddenly everywhere on CNN and stuff. So we also need to have these conversations. We can't be having siloed conversations if we are going to have a lasting solution, because we would just
We're settling the problem of the
for
of
some people,
Yeah.
you have this kind of stuff. So I think it's important to talk about this holistically. you know the people who were specifically talking about the Me Too stuff, the people who were abused by Harvey Weinstein and other Hollywood men, they were victims. But on another level, and to another degree, there were also women of color, black and brown women, who talented, you know, could not have jobs, could not get jobs because these men did not consider them attractive. And those are also victims of this culture of male sexual entitlement and all what's not, because that's what it comes down to at the end of the day.
At the end of the day, we just need um, we 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 indulge people who, if you're having conversations about rape and entitlement of men um, in sex, um, you have to consider the fact that what guides the opinions you make are your impression of what a perfect victim is,
Is
and
yes,
there is no such thing.
as a
There
perfect
is
victim,
just a victim, you know.
she can be a bitch and still be a rape victim.
And that is what, although it's something we'll talk about at the later time, that is what excludes the thoughts that men can be sexually assaulted, that men can be
Yes,
raped,
absolutely.
because we don't see them; they don't fit into our narrative of what a victim should be.
Modalities
But
of
they
what a
are
victim should be.
victims, you know.
And
Um, but yeah, that's what we want. We feel people should talk about when you have conversations about this. Like Jose said, have these conversations holistically. Look at widening the fabric of what you're talking about, and then you'll see that there's no perfect victim. They're just victims.
Yeah.
Men, women, colored, white, whatever. It's just
Yes.
we're all going through the same shit, and it's a very painful thing.
It sounds so weird whenever you curse.
Please, we're here to have a very serious conversation.
Okay.
It's painful when, your shit gets ignored for a long time, and then suddenly someone else powers it through, and it's it's um it's what it is. We should have conversations about this, and we should have the right conversations about it, and we should have whole conversations about it. It's one way. That way we don't exclude some people from the same struggle that affects everyone.
Everyone.
Yeah. So.
And there's no such thing as, all oppressions are connected. This is something I keep saying, intersectionality. All oppressions are connected in some way or the other. And it doesn't help anybody to have siloed conversations. Okay, I talk about only female victims or this and that and that. All of these things are connected. And until we start to find ways to address the bigger picture, you can have specificity and still address the bigger picture. It's possible to do that. So we need to stop having silent conversations about this stuff. And yes, I guess that's a wrap for today.
Yeah, it is.
It's been fun.
As much fun as we can have. But
Yes.
yeah, we like earlier introduced this the minority report, and we are going to be talking about these things that we hope you join in these conversations with us. When we need people to talk more, and not just to talk, and to apply these things. When you when you talk about it, it doesn't just lie in talking. You educate other people too. You apply them. It's painful that things like you can get to hook up with a girl, and then some point she says no, just wait, you're right close to it. But
Take your prick
think
and
about
do
how
something
this
else.
guy thought he did all the right things, and then the girl leaves and still accuses him of rape. He did rape her, but yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, so the email is
The minority report ng@gmail.com. If you have any
ideas on things you want us to talk about and stuff, just send us an email and we will get to it.
thank you.
Until we come your way next time, Chidozie DK.
And this is what we do.
Bye.